Why don't we get into some of this hilarity? Well, wouldn't you know, we have some hilarity. And this, unfortunately, is the reality of the West's future, where white people have been white erased from entertainment. And to the point, it will be to the point where there are no white people, unless maybe there are a few actual white females and maybe a few guys who are not necessarily liking the ladies, not necessarily they like the ladies. They like something else. That'll be all you'll be able to see. And this is what we all have to talk about. Disney, and that, of course, is anti-white as all hell. We have a little bit of a situation going on, a little bit of drama, because Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler posed for photos together at scaled-back Snow White premiere amid reported tension. Well, what's the tension? What's going on? I'll just fill you in very briefly, because there is just the little bit to know that matters for the work that we do in service to white well-being. Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler were seen posting for photos together at the scaled-back Snow White premiere in El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, California, on Saturday. The two co-stars, who are reportedly not friends and clash, wrapped their arms around each other. Wouldn't you be able to throw your arm around anybody for all of the millions that they're getting paid? They make it sound like, oh no, you would never. Can you believe they're so brave? They're throwing their arms around. If you pay me millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I think anybody else with any sense, they'll be able to throw their arm around somebody and smile, and then move on, collect the money, and do wonderful things with it. And for our people. But they actually got together and they wrapped their arms around each other. They stood between fellow cast members to promote the live action remake of the Disney classic. And this is what we see afoot across the totality of the West. And there are so many people who for so many years said, why don't they just come up with their own movies? They just are not creative people. That's not it at all. And I will continue to say this from the rooftops, literally, if I have to, from the rooftops in your neighborhood, if I have to. It is not that they can't create new works of fiction, new stories. It's that they want to victimize you, white people. That's what they're doing. They want to victimize you. They want to go back to all of our fairy tales, all of our classics, all of our Brothers Grimm, all down the line, and they want to white erase it because it hurts us, because it harms us, because you take away our creations and they reflect back to us, creating harmony in us. They want to take that away. They want to take this away, Snow White, from our little girls and little boys. They want to take the hero's journey away from our little girls and our little boys. That is the reason that they continue to remake and remake and remake. Because there are plenty of other stories on planet Earth that they could tell. Plenty, trust me. There are only several sort of story types, but there are plenty of stories. And don't worry about it. In the coming years, once they've gotten done thoroughly white erasing as much as possible, they'll still white erase. They'll still crop things up and white erase them. But once they've really sated their bloodlust of white erasure, throughout all of our stories, all of our tales, remaking it all to white erase us, just like they're remaking our countries to white erase us, just like they're remaking our countrysides to white erase us, just like they're remaking our towns to white erase us, our statues to white erase us, our law and order and police force to white erase us, our air traffic controllers to white erase. I mean, there's a bit of a theme here. There's a bit of a theme. You really gotta go out of your way, either to just be, I don't know, midwit or just sub-midwit, midget-wit, whatever it is. You really got to go out of your way to pretend like you can't see this. But maybe some of you, I get it, you can't. But that's just the way things are. Rachel Ziegler, who is, well, first, I mean, I guess we can say Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot, she is an Israeli Jew, okay? If you didn't know that, she's an Israeli Jew. She's extremely proud, too, of her. Wouldn't that be nice if we had white people that were proud had pride for our people. They were proud of that's what they talked about. Wouldn't that be nice? But we don't get that. We just get that around these parts. We don't really get that elsewhere. Maybe a little bit of a seasoning sprinkled here or there, really as a pretext to you know what. But she's very proud. In fact, she's so proud. She served in the Israeli military. And of course, she's hooked up everywhere, all over the place. So she's got connections. I wonder how that happens. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice as well? Doesn't happen for us because we don't see ourselves as a people, because we're not using the right concepts for that to happen. Gal Gadot is using the right concepts for her people, but our people don't. They just refuse, except for this community and those that we are able to push. There's two real champions out in the world. And so she is an actress, and the white people, they pay big money to go see this female, another female who is not white in our fairy tale. So be it, So I'm surprised they didn't give her blonde hair, but maybe that would have been too much of a affront to her pride as an Israeli Jew. Ziegler, on the other hand, born in these United States, and she is a half and half. Isn't that something? She's half Colombian coffee. She is half Colombian coffee, and she is half white. Of course, when they share, and it's very interesting too, and we just saw this a couple of weeks ago, when they share, these people who are half white, biracial, half something else, they always are referring to their race, the non-white race, and then to an ethnicity for the white. It's a very strange thing. And Ziegler, she does that. I've seen it. She does that as well. It's kind of like they hate the white. Oh, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Another strange thing, since we live in this anti-white narrative and we are incessantly told that everything in the West benefits white people, everything is better if you're white, don't you? Everything is just better if you're white. It's better like butter. And then you go out into the world and everything is so easy. You have a card they give you. You have a little white privilege card and you go into the world with your card and everything you don't even have to, you scan it. You scan that instead of a payment card and you scan it. You get a coffee and you could get your automobile and you could get a car and you could go out into the world. Everything goes smooth for you. It's so easy as a white person. You could go right to IBM when they're saying, they have these racial quotas and they're getting rid of the white people. You could just show your card and you get a job right away as an executive. That's how the world works. Oddly, though, Ziegler identifies as non-white, which is peculiar when you have all the benefits of being white in the West. Kind of puts the lie to the anti-white narrative, doesn't it? Oh, ahoy! Ahoy, matey! It's all bullshit. Of course, we know what is actually happening in the world. The West is totally anti-white. And that's why biracial children identify as non-white. That's why, what is it about the anti-white world that really drives them away from identifying as white or saying that they're biracial and they love both sides of the family? What really is the difference there? Why is it? What drives them away? Well, if you're white, you're taught from babyhood so often and so much in every vector and sector of life that the white race is evil and that you have this evil seed inside of you and you need to make amends. That's your whole life has to be for making amends to everyone else in the world. Females, non-whites, snails, slugs, the darter fish. You've got to make amends to all of them. Get down on your hands and knees by the creek and pray to the darter fish, you white demons. And who the hell would want that? So naturally, non-white children are like, I'm no part of that. I have nothing to do with that. No. You see, she's Hispanic, non-white Hispanic. And if you take a look at some of her pictures where she hasn't had all of her surgeries and she's not having the makeup put on by the special effects makeup crew and everything else to oddly make her look very white. Isn't that strange? When they're not doing that, boy, does she look non-white. Colombian coffee. She looks like she's riding the donkey up there with who was the Colombian guy again? You all remember the last time, the coffee guy. She looks like she's like right by us. She's riding the donkey. What is his name? Senor what? Marilyn is here. What is the coffee, the Colombian coffee? Noriega? Juan Valdez. That's it. Hyperborean dream. Hyperborean dream. Juan Valdez. Yes, she's like, Senor Valdez. Azamul Clark, isn't it? Senor Valdez, I see some good coffee beans. But no, she's not riding the donkey on the beautiful, the pristine slopes of Colombia, where there's coffee and many drugs grown. No, she's in America making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of, almost entirely, of course, white people. And she was cast by anti-whites that work at Disney to help them white erase this epic Snow White fairy tale, to remake the thing into something that comports with anti-whiteism. So they choose themselves a non-white identifying, half non-white female to play this role. And she says, sure, I'll do that, despite hating Snow White, despite hating Western civilization, despite she is speaks at nauseum length about feminist theory, about colonial oppression, about several other subsets of the superset that is anti-whiteism. Gets real easy when you see things through the clear lens of the Go Free dialogic, doesn't it? So, yes, I know, I love it. I love it. I see you over there. I love you. So that's how it works. I'm talking to myself, of course. So that's how it works. She's a violent anti-white. And so they picked properly, didn't they? Iger and the rest, they're like, let's get the most ridiculously anti-white female we can, and she'll be the new Snow White. And then what happens? A bunch of these cuck white people, cuck conservatives, they roll out and they're like, but wait, the integrity of the story. And it's just like, shut the up, you fat losers, you midget-witted imbeciles. Stop talking about like the integrity of the story and what the authors meant and what this parable is supposed to teach and all of this bullshit. You're doing anything but talking about what's actually happening, which is an attack on our norms. And specifically, this isn't for adults. I mean, can't you get angry over these besmirching of our children's lives? If you can't get angry, so many in the white sympathetic sphere, they're not going to talk about that, ruining this for millions and millions and millions of white children, especially white little girls, ruining it for all of them, for generation and generation and generation to come, absolutely just wrenching this out of their lives, this thing that brought them so much bliss, so much joy and identity to be proud of. Not mad about that at all. But a genocide might happen some point in the future. Meanwhile, your daughters and sons are over here being eviscerated by anti-whiteism. But a genocide might happen in the future. I mean, for God's sake, I know I got to keep it moving along. These people, I just want to choke the ever-living flowers out of them. So this female comes in, and Disney's fine with all of this. Disney, they say, of course, to the limp cuck arguments, they're like, which are easily defeated. Integrity of the story, whatever. You can remake stories. You can absolutely and say this is a new artistic depiction of this earlier tale. So you're defeated, cucks. You're defeated. Stop using these abstractions. Start talking about what's actually going on. At least use some of the 6 key concepts in service to white well-being when you talk about these things. Stop with this nonsense, the abstractions. The integrity of the integrity of the story. Any guy talking like that is absolutely has more estrogen than your daughter. Just know that. He has surfeited the cook is powerful within him. They're fine with that. So they bring her in, and she continues what she's been doing her whole life, slandering white people, slandering Snow White. And all of these cucks out there are like these Disney adults. Let me tell you, that's a special lot. All of these Disney adults, they're out there complaining that she's slandering Snow White when she is Snow. So Disney doesn't care. The market's not going to care. That's anti-whiteism. That's the social morality. So this cutting out and this abstractionist argument about, well, what's going on with an artist slandering the character that she plays? Maybe she just shouldn't have played it. You're an idiot. Knock it off. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. It didn't work. Everything was fine. Everything was on track. She had appearances set up for Jimmy Kimmel, for what's the girl's name? Drew Barrymore, for Saturday Night Live, and several other talk shows. She had premieres set up in the UK, big premiere in the United States, all of it still running. A $10 million event in Disney World where Ziegler herself was going to be playing Snow White in Disney. I mean, it's going to be like spectacular, over-the-top Disney style. And then something happened. Oh, something happened. What was it? You see, if you insult and you kick white people, you spit on them, you piss on them, you vomit on them, all of that is good. That's moral in the West. That's what we should be talking about defeating, because if you can't defeat that, everything else is useless. She decided to side with the Palestinians. And you see, there's a group of people out there, a percentage of which serve individual well-being by way of group well-being, maybe better than any other group on planet Earth. Maybe. I don't know. But it's a very noble and beautiful and wonderful thing. They seem to excel at it. While white people seem to be they're the F students when it comes to this. I mean, take my word for it. You know how many white people I've tried to convince to focus on us and worry about our own and achieving individual well-being by way of group well-being, that have decided instead to slander me, lie about me, ostracize me? Let me just tell you. And then this other group, they like to slander. And then this other group, they like to slander for being born. This other group, they do this miraculously. And the moment that Ziegler decided that she was going to side with the Palestinians over the Israeli Jews, oh, it all went away. Oh, it all became a problem. Now, mind you, places like Disney, they'll also mention now that they have taken away the appearances, SNL, Drew Barrymore, Jimmy Kimmel, and others. They took away the premiere in the UK. They totally diminished the premiere in America. They got rid of this $10 million spectacular event that was going to be taking place for all the lovely little children that were going to be watching in Disney World, these different acts. They took it all away. And of course, these people are not going to come out and give away the game. They're not going to give away the game. And you'll see there's a little bit of a recurring theme as we work through this. They're not going to give away the game. They're not going to come out and say, well, it's just because she sided with the Palestinians. No, they're going to go out and say at that point, you see, she sided with the Palestinians and she slandered the character and she slandered the development of the program. And she's been a problem in other ways. They're going to throw all of this in there. And then what's going to happen is, and you're already seeing it, is all of these cuck conservatives out there. And that's not all, good people, conservatives or paleo conservatives out there. I guess they're not included unless you cuck out. Then you're a cuck. But they're going to look at, oh, she was attacking Snow White. Oh, she was causing all of these other problems. She might say X, Y, or Z when she's being interviewed on these that could turn people away from the movie. So it's all about profit. That's what the cucks will say. They will do anything. And what's the reason for that? Because the social morality across the West is the anti-white moral imperative. You have to contend with and defeat that if you want to recapture the destiny of Western country. I can't make it easier for you. What do I got to do for you people? What do I got to do for you people? I can't make it easier. You must really be a special kind of a, Babalini. So they come out and they say, oh, well, now we're canceling all of this. And at its heart is that you have a group of people. And if you hate them because they work together to shut down Ziegler, then you're a fool. You should be astonished, and you should be immediately asking the question, how can we function like that? What do we have to do? Stop talking about things you don't have any control over. Stop talking about, like we're going to be talking about in just a moment here, this back and forth about nationalism, Keith Words and Joel Davis on the other side. It's got to be National Socialism. Stop talking about this shit. So, I mean, seriously? Are you playing Sim City? Why are you contemplating what nationalism should look like at some point? Why are you contemplating how the economy should function at some point? Why are you contemplating what the resistance reactionary movement should look like? You don't have shit for power. You barely can decide what flavor of Slurpee you want. You can get busy with these concepts changing yourself, your life, and the lives of those around you. And incidentally, that is the path to the recapture of our destiny, even in the life that you think is so unimportant, yours. That's where the battle is fought and won or lost. And it was in all of those conversations, even people whose lives were actually valueless, where they won and took the moral high ground for all of these years. It was those losses for us that ended up here today, where we are discussing two non-white females going at each other like cats, and none of the truth coming out as for why, until you listen to yours truly. You are so very welcome.